Okay, after like a gazillion years of a lot of procrastination, not working out timings, here we are talking about F1, talking about multiple things in life to figure out what we want to do with this podcast and what do we want to name this podcast. So, to start off, what a season it has been. Insert Tintin meme. It's only been a month, Captain, and we haven't even gotten to the start of 2024.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
the
a lot of
preseason has already set the tone of how dramatic this season is going to be with, all the cold wars going on in between the teams.
And also not only within this upcoming season, it's literally like the next seasons as well.
So it's like a
Literally, it
it's
fight.
includes.
almost yeah, it's almost like you've seen like everything that happens on track for like 7 races. You've seen all that action within 2 months of track action, and I think this entire 2 months of preseason could be an entire DTS season. It's literally that. You've got Lewis, uncertainty over signs, Connor
Gunther.
getting into a mess, Toto Wolff getting into some allegations because some teams butt hurt about something else, and Gunther Steiner. What a loss to the world of F1. What a loss to Netflix. How will Netflix survive from now? How will they make money? Who's gonna smash this door?
2 minutes of
Never know.
silence for Gunther Steiner.
2 minutes. I think F1
Yeah.
is gonna maintain silence. I think Netflix is gonna maintain silence for the rest of their lives. I hope I haven't finished watching DTS, so I hope towards the end they're like dedicated to Gunther Steiner this entire season.
In the loving memory of him and all that he did for
Oh man.
After
DTS.
after the news of Gunther Steiner, Netflix be like, all right, I'm ahead.
All right. No, but again,
Oh,
how
interesting fact that I found was there was Davide Brivio, who was part of Alpine, who was before a team principal with Suzuki in MotoGP, came to Alpine, spent a couple of years, man decided, okay, good night, guys. I'm gonna see you guys on the flip side, and then went to MotoGP back to another team.
yeah.
So that's fun. Alpine seems to be in a huge mess, given that they have two French drivers who are literally best friends but also enemies of sorts, which kind of baffles me all the time, given the
That they're
history they
not
have, given the beef they have.
about that.
So
They actually clarified it in TTS this season itself that Pierre Gasly and Esteban Ocon will never be best friends. That is
oh
literally the
man.
most funniest shit I've ever heard.
But
And
Like
on the contrary, if you go back to last season's DTS or let's say to their press releases, they're like, yeah, we're aware we have differences, but we're trying to iron them out. It's almost like they're an unhappy marriage. It's like,
bro, you know
oh
what?
man.
You know what? They literally tell that they'll never be best friends and proceeds to talk about baguettes and speak in French.
it would be interesting to see, like, when it comes to Alpine, who would they pick between the two? It
I
would
think they both will just stay. I think it works with the French folks. It works for the news because there's no news about them when they're racing. So obviously they need some news from somewhere.
No offense to the French people, but whoever finishes hot chocolate first is the first driver in Alpine.
Oh God. Bonjour.
Or might as well make ratatouille.
Ratatouille
Ratatouille.
Oh
with a
God.
rat on their head.
Or
Yeah.
maybe who
But
pronounces bonjour?
moving on to understanding teams for 2024. Where do we start? Okay, let's
I think
start from
I
the
think
bottom.
I think there's one more drama that we forgot to cover. That is Christian Horner and all the allegations which are going on right now.
Very touchy topic. So
That is more Indian serial drama than Formula One serial
But
drama.
again, imagine like the team principal of the team, which has been dominating all the seasons, and like the main person, let's just say, one of the main person behind that domination. And now there are talks that he might not be part of the Red Bull team by the end of the season if, everything comes out against him. It makes for a very
Well,
interesting season, I feel.
I think Santa knew already because DTS opening line is like, "Did Daddy be good for Christmas?"
Oh my god, yeah.
Hmm.
I think there's a
Oh my
that
God.
meme. I think before Santa, Toto knew. There's that meme
Oh
video,
man.
and Toto is like, that's not right, my friend. I think before everybody, Toto knew. But yeah,
Like it's almost like saying, the kids when Santa comes and says, "How's dad been this year?" And then they're like, "Bad." Then
bad.
change your fucking dad.
Oh god.
Bro, I'm telling you, Formula One season should not be streamed via DTS and Netflix. It should be streamed in Star Plus HD.
This year's season has to be so many breakups happening, like I really want to talk with Toto's therapist right now. I just want to know how the man is doing, like.
No, like imagine like the amount of work the editor has to do by putting this dum ta na 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 music sequence and this lightning, then this camera lens shattering, everything that he has a lot of work to do. And I think he's gonna be underpaid for the amount of work that he will have to
I
do.
can I can already imagine Toto getting that phone call of Lewis, like, leaving and being like, kya, like, that I can
Oh
already
man.
imagine that happening.
The standard serial template, the
And
standard
he's
Indian
just
serial template.
Yeah.
Oh my
Okay,
God,
anyway,
that's
back
such interesting. Imagine Toto getting a phone call and then suddenly a thali of puja somewhere just dropping,
Bro.
and all the lamps, they are just going, like all the lights going off, and there's just darkness, and there's just that sad music. Like I can imagine that happening. I think that's Toto's mental health
Man,
right now as well.
that kind of sounds like a very incognito video of sorts. Lights going off.
if
Not
if
safe for work,
you're
kids. Not
watching
safe for work.
Oh my
if you're watching Star Plus or Netflix, don't sue us. This is our first video.
God.
Talking about teams, let's start from the bottom, which is Haas. Tried and tested teammates, K-Mag, Hulkenberg. One's always like, suck my balls, as we know from,
And also
I don't
another
know
one
which
is
race. Was that
hanging like a
China?
cow.
Was that China?
Yeah, that
That
was
they both
China.
had this thing. I think China 2017, 2018, somewhere around that time.
Yeah, that sounds about right. And also
Yeah.
Hulkenberg hanging like a cow.
Hanging like a cow, Abu Dhabi 2018. And he's still
Mm.
hanging around in F1 like a cow, lasting a
I
test of
feel
time.
I feel like return of Hulkenberg in Formula One was so much undermined,
Yeah.
to be honest.
For sure, man. I think he's been one of the most I think, to put it this way, Hulkenberg has been a very reliable driver. He's
Hmm.
consistent, but he's not up there when it comes to the results.
Yeah.
So I think very unfortunate situations where he's not been able to be on the podium. And I think he's got a very unfortunate record of starting so many races without a podium. And it's kind of
Flash,
unfortunate, but yeah, I
flashback to
think it is what it
2020.
is.
Flashback to 2020 when COVID was on its peak and drivers were falling ill like casually. Like, I don't feel like racing today. I'll just tell people that I have got COVID. And that's when Hulkenberg just shows up in his Porsche. And then he just randomly comes in there, shows them who's the boss, and leaves the weekend like nothing even happened. Man scores easy podium.
Yeah.
He didn't get a podium, no?
No, I mean in pole, like during
Yeah, he
quali,
got a pole. He got pole, but then squandered podium. But yeah, I think still, given the car that he had under him, given that was an
yeah,
Aston Martin from 2020, which was not the best car, he
Yeah.
still
that was
managed to get a top 10 finish, which was great.
that was literally Mercedes 2019 car that Racing Point used to race with the 2019 Mercedes car. You remember?
Yeah.
Man, Hulk has the capability to come and just perform. And beyond that, the best thing was K-Mac coming back and then
Oh my
delivering a
God.
P6, which was insane, dude. Like both of them rapid drivers. It's just that they need a really, really good team and a really, really good car
Yeah.
under them to actually give them the results.
Yeah.
And also one more thing, both of these drivers have experience in other motorsports as well,
Yeah.
especially K-Mac. Especially K-Mac. K-Mac literally drives with his dad, man. What the hell?
The LMP series, Le Mans.
Yeah, I mean, what? He literally drives with his dad, and then he's just like casually going out on a Sunday drive in Le Mans, going through the Mulsanne straight with his dad. He's like, "Hey, what's up? Let's go have some beer and then we just go back to racing." That's it. That's how casual K-Mag is. He's that experienced. What about that? I mean, as experienced he is, the team is like that.
But I
Yeah,
don't
talking
see
about
but I don't see any big changes driver wise happening in Haas. Like I don't think so. Even like for the next 2 3 years, we can see like some big changes happening there. So I think
I don't think
this could be our
so. I
team.
don't think so. I think I'd like to disagree because both of them are quite old. They've got families. Definitely, I think maximum of a year or two, not beyond that, because obviously Ferrari has a say with one driver in Haas, given that they're a customer team. And Ollie Wayman's waiting on the sidelines. Literally, he's just there. Arthur Leclerc is on the
Oh
sidelines.
yeah, he
One
is.
of them will definitely get fast tracked into Haas.
But do we see that change happening till 2026? Is it's what the question is right now because
By then, I think that's definitely happening. Definitely
I
happening
don't
for
see
sure.
it happening for some reason.
In my opinion, I don't think so. It's gonna happen. It's like highly doubtful. It's
Yeah,
like slim to 20% chances of that happening
I think
by 2026. That I'm saying.
yeah, because Haas would like to go in the 2026 season with hope and with its trusted drivers. Maybe that 2026 season might be their season where they would try to do something great, but after that they would change the drivers in the next 2027 season. But I think 2026 season they would like to go with their reliable drivers. If no
I
drama.
think
And
they'll have
also,
one experienced driver for sure, but the other one definitely has to be someone from the Ferrari Academy because that's the only way they're going to build a future pipeline. Because Lewis is going to retire by what 2026, 2027, and then they need someone who can step into those shoes for sure.
Hmm.
this about related to Haas, I'll talk about Lewis Hamilton later. That
Yeah.
is for another time. But for Haas, I feel like they are they were I don't know if it's still there or not, but they were mostly focused on NASCAR because that is their national motorsport. You know
Hmm.
what I mean?
Hmm.
Like they were heavily invested in NASCAR more than Formula One. I mean, that is again understandable because that is literally right in their freaking neighborhood. Like the race used to happen in their neighborhood. It's their playground. But yeah, I mean, Formula One has its like glory and it has a lot of potential, right? So I think it's time for Haas to maybe invest a few bucks bucks in Formula One.
Which is going to be pretty unlikely.
Yeah,
So
same. I
sad
don't
for them.
think
Sad
that.
for them. I think they need very good drivers to probably start showing results and go up
Yeah.
the ladder, which one of the other teams has done, which is Williams.
Mm.
Moving on to understanding their
Hopefully,
progress. James
hopefully Gene
Valls,
Haas has yeah. Hopefully Gene Haas has enough genes from his Papa Haas. Hopefully.
nice, nice, nice.
Good one.
I see what you did there. I see what you did
Good
there.
one. Good one.
But
Formula One sentence of the month.
yes. Now again, coming back to Williams, James Valls turned the team on its head. And I think massive, massive credit to Alex Albon for the way that he drove that car. It's like insane. And Logan Sargent obviously not living up to the hype, obvious and for obvious reasons, given that Alex is rapid, the kind of story that you know about Alex, the kind of story that Sargent has very different backgrounds. And Alex is a very intelligent driver. And
Agreed.
somehow this entire combination has worked, and they've come up, they've racked up the results, they've shown how quick they could be on a on a street, and I think it worked wonders last season. And to jump up from there, and they actually have a display on their steering wheel, guys. Achievement.
Yeah, go ahead.
Talking about Alex, I think we can say he's one of those drivers who's high in demand. Like he will be high in demand. I mean, talking about one particular team, I think they would be looking up to snatch Alex. I see Alex in Mercedes. I for some reason really do, because he is made somewhere for that team. He has that attitude. And if we are talking about like Mercedes comeback, I don't see it happening with Russell, but I see it happening if Alex joins the team.
Partially agree and also disagree with it, because Alex being at Williams is partially Russell's influence, because he pushed Vowles, or he pushed the team to probably get him there.
Yeah.
And he will definitely try and fight to probably bring him to Mercedes, which means both of them will work together to get there. But
Yeah.
now, again, that will also create a little bit of fireworks, which again, I think it'll hurt less for Williams to probably let him go to Mercedes. And it'll really help them on working on a lot of development for the car. But the problem or the headache becomes, whom do Williams bring into the car? If Alex decides to go, and if he's persuaded enough, and if he decides to go to Mercedes, it's gonna be a huge headache for Williams to fill in the kind of shoes of what Albon has filled as of today. Because definitely, clearly and visibly, our man Logan Sargent is not anywhere close to where he is. And to find someone of that caliber of Alex, it's gonna be extremely difficult. The only other person I see that's possible is probably Guan Yu Zhou, because he might lose a seat, or maybe if they want Mick Schumacher, because he's part of the Mercedes scene. So that's the only trade-off that I see as of right now. So it seems like a very huge pickle, but at the same time, I think we'll get to what happens with Mercedes in case if this not work, if it does not really work out. So yeah, a lot of possibilities happening there.
I think sending Mick there and bringing Alex would be the best bet for Mercedes as of now. And I think in the like the if let's just see it happens in 2025, then I don't think so they would be putting any of the two drivers as the main driver. I think there would be like a full tussle going on between the two, and based on the results, I think they will choose who they will prioritize in the 2026 season. And I think because of that, both the drivers have equal chance. Let's just be honest. The does Alex has potential? He does. But what are his chances of winning a podium in a Williams, right? Of or winning a, let's just say, a Grand Prix? Like what are the chances there? But those chances, they increase a lot if he's in a Mercedes car. Like Mercedes is way better than Williams, let's just say. So if he's looking out from his career perspective, of he's looking out from that potential, I think Mercedes is his best bet right now. There could be a driver swap. Williams can send a driver Alex there, and they can send Mick there anyways. Because if that does not happen, then Mercedes has very limited option to fill that driver's seat there.
And also to
Which is
add
fair.
another point to that, Williams has like a rich heritage in Formula One.
Yeah.
Let's just not forget that as well. So maybe not in the near future, but maybe Williams might just, jump out of their small bubble with Haas and maybe a little bit of kick, which was Alfa Romeo at that time. But yeah, I mean, see, the point is, I feel like Williams at one point will realize that what kind of team they were, and they might want to, try to give a push to the top level teams like maybe Red Bull, Ferrari, because Williams has the rich, like the highest amount of championships after Ferrari and maybe McLaren also.
Yeah. I
And
think,
also, if we are talking about sending Mick over from Mercedes to Williams, uh, I don't know how will Mick take that, but I'm for sure that Michael Schumacher fans will be like, "What the hell is happening in Formula?"
but that's better for Mick anyways because he's not getting that Mercedes seat, bro. Like he's not getting that seat. He will be a third driver.
He
So
is
better to at least get a chance to race than just sit as a third driver in Mercedes. Like that would be a better bet for him. And talking about, I think what you're talking about was a full revamp happening, just like McLaren did, like a full revamp with their team, and then they are trying to push to be one of the competitors. Again, this will come with like those kind of drivers and the management there. They have the driver, but do they have the management which is trying to push that hard? We don't see that happening, that fierce competitiveness. Because say what you say about Zach Brown, but again he has bought that competitiveness. And then the kind of years the Carlos has had in McLaren, and when he like went to Ferrari before that, he changed the whole, like the picture of McLaren which was there. We are talking about that kind of change happening in Williams. Do we see Alex able to bring that out of the team? Which is a big question mark. Again, that will be a big decision for Alex per se to make as a driver.
I think I kind of, just coming back to Williams, right? Talking about management, I think that problem right now, if Alex leaves, they have a solid management and they have a solid team principal who's been in the industry for so long, winning multiple championships. And I think he knows how to build a team. Now, their biggest problem is they can't have two drivers who can compete with each other on track because they have to work in tandem and support each other in a way that they propel the team upwards, because that's not a risk they can take given that they're far below in terms of the standings, which means lesser budget to work with, lesser technical advancements to work with, lesser testing time to work with, or rather more testing time to work with. But you don't get a lot of luxury in terms of the technical advancements that you get with a team like Red Bull, Ferrari, Mercedes, McLaren.
Hmm.
Doesn't happen that way. And I think given that Logan Sargent is not up to the mark, who do you really bring in is gonna be their biggest problem if Alex leaves by the end of 2024, which you never know because contracts mean nothing in Formula One.
but
So
there
yeah,
are
that's pretty much what I have to say about Williams.
if we are talking about maybe not 2024, but if at all by 2025 or 2026, I think I I'm not sure about it, but Kimi Antonelli, you
Oh,
probably would have heard about his name.
yeah,
He is one prospect of Mercedes. He is one major prospect of Mercedes, and I have seen that man drive.
yeah.
Like maybe I'm not speculating at all about it, but Kimi Antonelli is another driver which is almost towards the bottleneck of all the drivers entering towards the Formula One stream. But yeah,
He is making.
again,
I
it's
think
all
Kimi
about
Antonelli, talking about Kimi Antonelli, I think comparatively in the last few seasons that we've seen rookies, I think he's probably on par with the kind of achievements that Oscar has had, provided he proves himself over the next 2 seasons.
Yeah,
And given that he was given a boost up from F4 to F2, if I'm not wrong, I think he did not do F3. One of the series he did not do. So, given that kind of potential, I'm not sure what's going to happen, but it's going to be a lot of expectation on top of him to probably perform, which could go either way. Because, as is the case with the current scenario, you take Mick, for example, he barely won the F2 championship.
yeah,
And then once he came in, so many crashes, so many odd mistakes. You don't
yeah,
want that for someone as young as Kimi Antonelli, who's just fast tracked so much. Might as well bide his time somewhere, be a test driver, and then probably move in. But putting him in a F1 car immediately for 2025, to me personally does not make a lot of sense.
But
I
Mercedes has
mean,
already showed interest in him. So, like, if you go through the talks that have been going around, Mercedes is already interested in him. So, I don't know, maybe they would, as you said, maybe they might not give him a car for 2025 the whole season, but what if they let him, they take him as a test driver, they let him, be there for like for few races, and if he brings in result, who knows what can happen? Because again, guys, it's F1, anything can happen. He wins one race, he brings result in one race, and he's in. I think that's what we could not see with Mick. That's what he's not a safe bet for Mercedes as for right now. So who knows?
and also, let's not forget, you have good of Mercedes and bad of Williams. If you combine together, what do you have? Aston Martin Racing Team.
Oh
So,
my
Man,
no, I mean, this is, I
that got
mean,
so real for a minute.
god.
this was,
He had it ready
this,
like this.
no, no, see, this was meant for a joke, I know, but all in all, in seriousness, I mean, I feel like Aston Martin is like a filter between Mercedes and Williams.
Yeah.
Because
Couldn't
even
agree more.
Aston Martin also holds that AMG powertrain. So again, Lawrence Stroll is obligated to, keep Mercedes in their good books. Oh,
Okay.
and also if you take Aston Martin's bad things and Mercedes good things, what do you have? McLaren.
Oh,
Man,
okay, Shags. Okay, we get it.
crazy. That's crazy.
Also making a point that literally half of the paddock is filled with Mercedes.
But yeah, I think interesting that you brought up Aston Martin because in my head, I think Alonso might eye that 2025 Mercedes seat for sure,
Oh my god, I was coming
given
to that. I was coming to that. What do you listen? Russell and Fernando during the break have been spending time together. Okay, they have been
ooh,
spending time together. So
very
now
lovey-dovey
Speculations.
stuff.
a lot has been cooking, guys. A lot has been cooking there. So
Speculations. A lot of speculations.
is it like, do we already know who the next Mercedes driver for 2025 already is through that? Because then they have a good bond as well. But again, there comes the question, who will be the prioritized driver there? Who will be the first driver there? Or will there won't be any first drivers? Because I mean, you take Fernando with like the kind of experience he has and the kind of driving that we have seen from him in the last season and that competitive spirit, and then we have Russell on the other side. I would not go there and talk about the results that he bring, because that's like a very saddening topic in its own. But again, like, what will happen there? Because even though if Fernando comes to the team, I don't see a very what you say, a very balanced team there, because there will be a lot of fights between the two over everything. I see that happening a lot. They would not be the kind of the drivers who complement each other in that way. So it makes for a very interesting Mercedes. Like, it can happen how it happens in McLaren, like how Oscar pushes Lando, how Lando pushes Oscar. But who knows, Mercedes has this thing of rivalry between drivers happening, no matter who they are, no matter which
At
pair
this
you.
point, at this point, it is as complicated as Indian joint families because you never know who's gonna hold the business. Like who's gonna lead the business? Is it the elder son or the younger son? Leave the middle child. Middle child doesn't get anything.
Okay, so
He
But yeah,
hardly
talking
gets 2 minutes of
should we consider Mick as the middle child in that Mercedes team right now? Because he is
yeah,
not getting anything, guys.
obviously,
yeah.
obviously.
Mick is the middle child of Mercedes. He hardly gets 2 minutes of washroom break.
But yeah, talking about Alonso, I think it's a very interesting perspective that everybody carries, right? I kind of see Alonso to be what Schumacher was to Mercedes
Yeah.
12 years ago. Schumacher came in 2014, the era changed, and predominantly what Schumacher did for Mercedes was predominantly testing the car and setting it up with a lot of feedback, which set them up for success in 2014, which could potentially happen with 2026 regulations coming in. They might take a gamble,
Yeah.
let Alonso drive for a year, collect all the feedback, maybe help George with probably adjusting to the car, or maybe, instill a little more competitive spirit, because Alonso is known to be a child of sorts, young rookie.
Young rookie, yeah.
So yeah, I think
GP engine.
that could be one possibility there. But at the same time, being an Aston Martin lets him be the leader, right? Because potentially Stroll is just there because it's a hobby and because his dad owns the team. But Alonso is there to prove results. Alonso is there to lead the team. That's the kind of flexibility he has if he's in a midfield team. But as everybody knows, he's an extremely, extremely difficult customer to handle.
Yeah.
Can Toto really take it and handle it there? That's another question or another discussion for another day. But ideally, I would want to see him there. But at the same time, I think he needs to retire if he goes to Mercedes and then, call it quits.
I
Yeah,
think
actually,
I think
yeah, good.
talking about like Mercedes right now, I think Mercedes was born to see their like long-term future what they have, because again with Alonso there's no long-term future there with the team. So Mercedes would like to have a young driver, a little experienced maybe, but a young driver, or maybe a young driver with less experience in Formula 1 because they already have George. But I don't see them bringing in a driver who's, who has 1 foot inside F1 and 1 foot almost outside of F1. So I don't see Mercedes betting on Alonso like that much, because again I think for now Alonso would want to get to that seat, but mhm. Like knowing, like seeing the kind of person Toto is, that's like a long bet at least.
And also, Alonso's main motto in Aston Martin is um, basically giving the Stroll father-son duo a championship. Other than that, I don't see any other point of Alonso staying in Aston Martin. Especially, man came in Formula One in hopes that he will win a championship with his former team where he won his first championship with Renault. But again, it changed into Alpine. That is another story.
Yeah.
But see, man literally went from Alpine to Aston Martin, and it's completely like I don't see any other backstory or any history about it, or I don't find any common grounds of why did he go to Aston Martin. You know, maybe he has talks with Lawrence Stroll. Maybe he wants to guide his team that he's racing for to a championship, maybe an early championship for a team that young. But yeah, that's what my point is. What else is he going to do in Aston Martin at this point?
To add to what you said, right? So I think the reason why Alonso could have probably taken that bet is because Seb showed results.
Hmm.
2 years at Aston Martin.
Hmm.
He's gone out there, capitalized on results, and he's given Alonso a run for his money with that photo finish at Japan. And oh my god, that picture lives rent free in my head any day.
Yeah,
And
that is.
the fact that he was on the podium, P2 in Baku, competing with the top teams out there, that was extremely impressive. Had tears in my eyes because being a hardcore Seb Vettel fan, it
That
took me a
is
while.
that race is more hilarious than anything.
God.
Top teams, the first top team crashed out in pit straight. The second top team went straight instead of taking a
No, they
turn.
had a magic button.
Yeah, they had a magic button. They forgot about button itself, and that is why Seb got rest is history.
But again, so coming back to why Alonso could have probably got influenced by the decision is because Seb definitely had to contribute to Aston Martin's growth in a very, very, very significant way. And to sort of set up that team like that, Alonso definitely knew that there's quality work happening with the car. And I think how Lawrence could have sold that, I think I'd be sold. Given if there was a championship winning driver who has probably set up the car for success for the next season, definitely, why not go there, build on top of what is there, make it even better, and the results talk for themselves from last season. Alonso was always up there in the fight. He was probably giving Ferrari a run for their money. It's just that Stroll did not live up to the expectations for sure, which has been the story with every season out there. Not to say he's not a bad driver. He's got championships under his belt. He's a decent driver. But then is he championship material? Probably not. And I think that's where Alonso could get frustrated and move out of Aston Martin as soon as possible. Because you need two hands to clap. Can't clap in the air with one hand.
Yeah.
Can happen. Can happen.
Man,
Yeah.
I forgot
So,
Seb was there in Formula One. That feels like forever
Bro, don't
ago.
make me miss him. I miss him so much in Formula One. Like,
Like
God.
I literally have him over here as my background, and I forgot that Seb is there. Seb was there in Formula One. Sheesh,
It's such an
feels
emotional
forever
thing.
ago.
It's such an emotional thing, when you think about Seb not being there in Formula One, it's like it's such an emotional thing to think about because I just miss that man so much. Like, bro,
After
kind of driver he was. Amazing.
after Michael Schumacher, it was Seb who brought Ferrari to a glory. To be honest,
Exactly. Oh,
even
can we get
even
into
though
Ferrari? Can we get into the Ferrari talks, please?
I
okay,
think we'll get there eventually. Not right now, because I think there are some more teams at the back that we
Oh
need to
yeah,
discuss
there
yeah.
are
about.
some.
Before talking about Ferrari, we have lots of others. Let's talk about Red Bull Junior team.
Yeah.
Uh,
Sorry,
Uh,
guys. I
voted
got carried
voted
away with.
wallpaper,
oh God.
voted
I got
background,
carried away with Sebastian. Sorry, guys.
voted background.
Oh God. Bro, that image
The
lives
fact that
in my mind
the fact
rent free. Rent free, it lives in my mind, okay? That moment, oh
and
my God.
and the fact that I sat in front of those donuts for 3 days in October, I'm blessed, and I'm
You
hopefully
are
will probably
those
sit there again this year, which is a topic
privileged
for another
person.
day, which is a
No, that is
separate other episode.
yeah. That topic doesn't even exist in this segment.
Yeah.
That
Not
topic
here.
doesn't exist in
Another
that segment.
entire episode. I'll talk about it.
Yeah.
I think me, Charlie, all of us are gonna speak about it so much. It's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be mental.
There's
The
there
kind
is
of
a
people
lot
we've met,
to talk
the
about.
kind of friends we've had there.
There is a lot to
Crazy
talk
stuff.
about in
So
that
yeah,
episode.
talking about
So
and
anyway,
talking about
coming back to
Alpha
coming
Tauri,
back to Formula One, because that's what we are talking about.
talking about
Yeah,
the sister
Yeah.
team, Toro Rosso,
Toro Rosso,
Alpha
aka
Tauri,
Alpha Tauri, aka Visa
and
Cash App
Pizza
RB.
and but
cash.
no, wait. Goes way more back. There's Minardi, which is where
Minardi,
Sebastian started
yes.
his life,
Oh
right?
God.
And now, from Minardi, move to Toro Rosso,
Drum roll, please.
become Alpha Tauri, and then become Visa Cash App Racing Bulls.
It just sounds
Be
like those.
carb.
It just sounds like those
Sorry, bro.
confused
We don't
Indian
eat carbs
parents,
anymore.
It just sounds like those confused Indian parents that when the bacha is born, ha, theek hai, he's Bablu, he's Chotu, he's Golu. 10 days, 15 days, there is some other name. When he gets into the school, there is some other name. Then if he doesn't like the name, then in 10th boards, he'll change his name. Then maybe again in 12th boards, that name will get changed, and all that thing happens. It's just sound like an Indian household, typical old Indian household namkaran system.
Mm, that is for sure. That is for sure. Literally, the
I have
person
so many
who
questions. What kind of people did you surround yourself with who kept changing their names for every 2, 3 years?
I thought
sir,
about changing mine for the past 3, so I don't know.
sir, I'll tell you, I myself have 103 nicknames.
Nicknames are
That's
fine.
a typical Indian household thing to have, like some 50 nicknames. Chachi is calling you other thing, dad is calling you other thing, Bua calls you something else. Like, Come on.
Yeah.
What is
Now,
that?
talking about names, what is that name? VCAR. Visa Cash App Racing Bulls. How capitalistic do you have to
Vegan
be?
carbs. Oh my
Or
god.
how broke?
Bro, vegan carbs. Vegan carbs.
How broke do you have to be to name your entire team behind two? No,
Hold
sorry,
on,
I
hold
can't.
on,
I can't.
hold on. My brain is working too much. Is Lewis Hamilton gonna come to vegan carbs?
Oh my
Oh damn! Shit!
god.
Sorry, people.
Bro. I cannot
Crazy man.
imagine V carb as anything else again now other than like vegan carbs. That's what I'm gonna call it now. It's vegan carbs for
I
me.
feel like every team is connected to Lewis Hamilton and Mercedes in some or the other way in the 2024 season.
I mean,
Why?
bro, that's where it all started, isn't it?
Crazy man. But
Actually,
yeah,
this is
talking
one.
about the team, talking about the
Okay,
team,
okay, I have like a very
Yuki,
bad joke. I have a very bad joke.
man, why do we have such less time? I hate this.
Okay, 9 minutes. But I have like a very bad joke, guys. So with the two team name changes, one went through the full vegan route and named themselves We Carb, and the other went and just named themselves Steak.
No, they officially can't name their team Stake because they are kick.
No, yeah, steak is in social media actually purely. It's
Yeah.
kick sauber.
Big sober.
Yeah, just kick sauber hell out of the way.
I mean, that's
I'm
what's
not
gonna
gonna
happen in
I just
2026
have like a
because
very
they're
bad
kicking
joke. I'm
Sauber
not
out.
gonna make it.
They're kicking Sauber out in 2026 anyways, so the name works out.
They will kick. Oh my god. That the sober will be
This
kicked anyways. The sober will be kicked anyway.
this is some next level Illuminati shit.
Oh my god.
So yeah, now talking about these two teams,
Kick
Yuki,
sober.
Daniel.
Kick sober.
Now talking about our Racing Bulls, I think I'll respectfully resort to that name to avoid any kind of sidetracking from here on.
Yeah.
But Yuki, Daniel, I don't know how much Daniel's left in the tank. 34 years old. He carries a lot of social value, a lot of brand value, very marketable, but mm, he's just not got that oomph anymore.
Before we go ahead with Daniel, let's go back to the previous season where Racing Bulls were named as Alpha Tauri, and their driver was Yuki Tsunoda, and there's one fine gentleman known as Nick DeVries.
Mm.
Nick, I mean,
A lifetime of silence for him.
lifetime, that is even less. I mean, you gotta feel for that man. Like, his childhood dream was to race for Formula One, leave winning championships and leave winning Grand Prix. Man has more championships than, I don't know, half of the drivers. He has
And
Formula E in his belt. He has Formula 2 in his belt, and still he doesn't have a racing seat in Formula 1.
and the other fact about them is that the number of names that they've had in the last 5 seasons is the number of drivers they've had in one season. Oh wait, maybe one more. They've changed their name thrice,
Oh
and
my
they've had 4 drivers last season. Nick De Vries, Yuki Tsunoda, Daniel Ricciardo, and Liam Lawson. And
Yes.
for a matter of fact, Liam Lawson actually delivered, which kind of strikes me that he might also be a good fit at Williams. But will Red Bull let go of him, or will Lawson choose to move out of Red Bull? Is the biggest question that's going to be there.
Wait, I forgot that driver's name in the Red Bull Academy, who was in a like a
Dan
speculation.
Ticktum. Dan Ticktum.
Yeah, Dan
Oh.
Ticktum, yes.
He's racing DTM.
Even oh, is it?
He's in DTM. He's not in single
Oh.
seater racing anymore.
I mean, he was another one prospect for Red Bull, but man cost his own career.
Yeah. Now, the team that's called something related to football. Yeah. Icelandic
Yeah.
man with a mustache and another pay driver. No disrespect. Definitely delivered some results there. But I just keep wondering how much more longevity does Valtteri Bottas have? Or will he probably see the opportunity, see the window, and say, Toto, please take me back?
Ooh.
It's
Ooh.
gonna be, yeah.
Yeah,
Can
I
probably go back?
completely I forgot about that.
But again, there's that problem of, prioritizing Russell, which did not go well in Sakir because Bottas was furious about it of sorts and they made him look bad.
I mean, Bottas is another driver that I mean that is another episode dedicated to him itself, to be honest.
But a nice driver, bro.
Well,
Man,
Lot
maybe
of potential, man.
as long as I'm not seeing the back of a man in a stream of water, I think I'll be sorted.
it's
Yeah.
okay, fine. We are just getting sidetracked about Bottas. That is another thing. Man comes up
Bottas or
to the
Bottas?
paddock with a mullet.
Is it Bottas
Man
or is he
shows his
Cycling,
Bottas?
mullet.
he's got that cycling swagger.
So yeah, now getting to the cream of the teams up top, there's I think, oh yeah, always the middle child that we always ignore, Alpine, seems to
Pretty
be a
fast,
mess. A
Alpin.
huge mess. Alpine is always that middle child you always ignore. For me, they're always there, but you're like, oh, you're there. Okay, fine, bye. Which is more or less what happens. But again, do you guys see any kind of longevity in terms of their driver lineup or them getting to glory with a lot more there? What do you guys think?
To be honest, I feel like Pierre Gasly has that potential.
Yeah,
I mean, not much. He is not consistent, but he has the potential to win couple of races in a championship. That's what I feel.
yeah.
Like he can stack up points for the team, but the thing is, he is not consistent. That's the only point. Like that's the only disadvantage that Pierre Gasly has.
Hmm.
And as far as Esteban Ocon is there, um, I don't know. Man is a stall.
I think he's one of the most overlooked drivers on the grid in terms of potential or in terms of any kind of results. He's
Hmm.
produced them time and time again, but he's been overlooked. And I think it was predominantly because the reputation he built with Perez, with the kind of beef he had on the team,
Hmm.
and that did not really serve well because Perez had the money to back things up. He kind of paid his way through at Racing Point, but Esteban didn't have that because the kind of background he came from, it didn't let him do it. Neither did he have the backing to do it. But yeah, I think Esteban on pure pace, I think he's one of the quickest on his day, and we saw that in Hungary in 2021. What a drive with support from Alonso, obviously, and the most bizarre start which we'll ever probably see in our lives again. Everybody dropping into the pits, lights out,
Yeah,
only for Lewis Hamilton. It's almost like a
Yeah.
private testing track, and then man
Mhm.
sliding everywhere. Good night. That race is done. But I think one other performance that Esteban's was overlooked was Perez's win in Racing Point. He was
Okay.
literally in his last race with Renault, finishes on the podium and decides, okay, Renault, good night, bye bye. I'm going to another team.
yeah.
Definitely a very quick driver, but is Alpine the right place for him? Probably not. And another interesting link here, right? There's Toto managing Esteban Ocon. So if you guys did not know, is that a possibility to Mercedes?
How many possibilities does Mercedes has right now? I think more than drivers, that Mercedes seat is the real hot commodity. Like everybody would fight tooth and nail to get that shit, you know?
So yeah, now moving on from Alpine, there's no connection to any other team from them as of right now. It feels like they're almost detached from the rest of the grid of sorts.
Yeah.
About the next best team, McLaren, who see I don't like that much because he seems like that typical American cunning villain who's in a British setup. So not the best fan, but and I also have beef with McLaren for the way they treated Daniel Ricciardo, which is
Hey,
why I have
come
second notes about.
on. Hey,
Sorry,
come
sorry,
on.
I am sorry. He was set up for failure. He was set up for failure. A driver of that capability who produced a race like China 2016 or 2018, if I'm not wrong, those dive bombs on every single driver, all of them ruined, where he got lapped by his own teammate at McLaren. I'm not gonna forgive them
But
for that.
see, that is the thing with McLaren has been right, because ever since Carlos has left the team, it was almost like Carlos grooming Lando to be the next big thing in McLaren. And then team, ever since Carlos has left, they have been prioritizing Lando every step of the way. Right. Even right, like after Oscar joined, things have gotten a little fiery there. But again, when Daniel came into the team, Lando was the first priority. And even right now, even I see Lando as their first priority. So,
I think just taking things back to when Alonso joined back in McLaren,
yeah,
when Honda days were there.
yeah.
Since then, it was always Lando around whom the team was always structured, which is exactly why Alonso left. Carlos kind of disagreed and then got to the cream up top because it was not his job to really groom Lando of sorts.
He
But I
did.
think
But he
it
did
was,
because they had such
but
nice
he did, he
relationship.
did.
Yeah,
I
they
think,
were
yeah,
able
it,
to
it
build
was
a
predominantly because of a driver relationship that kind of
yeah,
facilitated for it.
yeah.
But at the same time, it was not something that was expected out of him, right?
Hmm.
Because Lando, being the kid he was, 20-year-old he was, I think he needed someone with a level head who spent time in Formula One. And by then, Sainz had spent what, 3, 4 seasons already. 2016, 2015 is when he started,
Yeah.
spent across two teams, Toro Rosso, Renault, and then came to McLaren. Things were kind of okayish for him. And I think McLaren kind of showed the world of his potential, what he was capable of, which kind of didn't translate when Daniel came in. I think Daniel was more of a marketing move for McLaren because Lando was fun, but combine that with Daniel Ricciardo gives you a heavily marketable lineup,
No,
which
actually,
happened for sure.
Again,
see
like
the
that.
no, see the thinking behind Daniel Ricciardo joining McLaren was because this car Lando was a huge thing,
Yeah.
and they wanted to replicate that between Daniel Ricciardo and Lando Norris, because both of them are playful in their own ways, and they both showed that they can be a good teammate. So they wanted to replicate Carl Lando to such a point where it kind of got toxic within the team, but on track they never showed that.
Yeah, and Daniel and Lando never had that kind of good relationship, I guess. And then I think it was very prominent that McLaren was anyway going to prioritize
That
Lando there. So, see, then if you're talking about that victimization of Daniel Ricciardo and F1 in the last few seasons, then again, Red Bull has done the same, right? Every team has their priority drivers, and you cannot do anything with that.
There is also another aspect to this, because Lando Norris's dad, he invested heavily on Lando's career in McLaren itself.
Yeah.
So that is also another deciding point of Lando Norris's future in McLaren, because McLaren and Lando's dad are both basically like combined parents to them. Basically, McLaren is Lando Norris's stepdad. You know what I mean?
No, but that's true. And
So
with the kind of results that have been coming, like last year, the kind of drive, I think that last year was one of Lando's finest driving seasons. Let's just be clear on that part. So he is showing growth as well. And I don't know, I don't agree with that, them treating Danny Rick in such a bad manner, I think. But it's all right. I think I go with McLaren. Like, I don't agree with Vishal's point here, but yeah.
I feel like more than last season, it was 2021 or 2022, where he
2022,
got like,
2022, I think.
yeah, 2022. Yeah, I think it was 2022. Like for the first 15 or 16 rounds, man was consistently on top five.
Yeah.
That was one huge spectacle. Especially Lando Norris is such young driver. He has experience, I agree, but he's still young. He has a lot of future. And man was consistently on top five everywhere. Most of them was in podiums.
Last year
He
also
has
he
Makes
potential.
sense.
podiums, bro. Like he has, but that's what I'm saying because he was able to bring results for McLaren after Carlos. So I think
I
that's
think
why
that kind of
they're putting money
yeah
on.
that kind of brings me to the point, right? How many podiums is he gonna settle for if he's not getting any wins? How long till he
Again,
probably imagines himself
but
being on the
but
top step?
but Vishal, who can win against Max in that beast of a car is the real question. The question is not that he's not winning, but the real question is who can win against Max? Who can? Who can?
Give me a couple of
Hey
minutes. I'll
Lord,
answer that
attitude
question.
Dewey. Easy way for Lando Norris is to just join Red Bull.
I don't see Lando leaving, bro. He has just signed that contract, right? I don't see him leaving.
Neither
He'll never be a
neither did
second
we
driver to
see
Max.
neither did we see Lewis Hamilton leaving Mercedes.
No, but no, Lewis's move was predictable to a point, to be very honest. Lewis's move was a
Yeah,
predictable to a point because, bro, every driver once in their career want to race for Ferrari, and then he got to that point in his career because he's nearing that retirement age. And then the main reason why he joined Mercedes, Nikki, he was not there anymore. And I think it suits him. Like, he has a glorious career, right? McLaren, Mercedes, and now Ferrari, like such a celebrated career he would have. So, from that point of view, that was such a nice move for him to make. But Lando is not in the same position that Lewis was. Lando is still building himself up. I think staying
mm,
in the McLaren is the best bet for him. I think that's why he also, signed that multi year undisclosed contract.
yeah, the most important part of all. But again, 2 years back in the line, we never thought that we would see this day, to be honest.
Yeah, nobody
That
ever saw Lewis leaving Mercedes and retiring. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe like in middle of 2023 season, it was kind of predictable. Then afterwards, it was slowly getting, even more clearer,
Hey,
and we got even more bigger
Guys,
picture.
guys, sorry to interrupt. You
yeah.
asked me who could beat.
That's
You
Carlos.
asked me who could beat Max in a car.
Come
This
on,
man did.
that single.
This
See,
man
I am
did.
telling you, smooth operator. See, Carlos.
Wait a
This
Listen,
man
minute.
did.
listen, guys. Listen to me. Listen to me. Listen to me. What I'm saying. With Oscar's contract expiring, with Carlos having no seat in any team right now, with one McLaren seat emptying, do we see Carlos Sainz return to the team McLaren? Do we see Carlos happening again?
we'll get back to Carlos when we discuss Ferrari. There's a lot of news going around there.
No,
We'll
but
get back
there
to
is
that.
a McLaren connection there. No, like that's
There's
a
more to it. There's more
distant
to it.
dream of mine. That's a distant dream of mine to see him back in McLaren, bro. Glory,
And
glory.
it shall remain that way. Hate to break it to you, but it will remain that way. It'll remain a dream.
Let's just not give any more spoilers to those people,
Who
and
don't know.
let's just
Which
let's
obviously
just
by this point a lot of people do.
no, let's just pretend that we are time travelers. We know what is going to happen in the year
Happen.
2030.
Yeah.
Alonso is still racing in Formula One,
Yeah.
and
But
also
yeah,
Kimi Raikkonen is back in Formula One.
Dude.
Nah, I'm
but
just kidding.
yeah,
It's
Mercedes,
not gonna happen.
I
Mercedes
think
best
coming
friend
back
is
to
here.
Coming back to Lando,
Yeah.
I think given that Mercedes and also Mercedes and McLaren also share some kind of a bond, and given that George and Lando are also quite close, provided if there is significant incentive for Lando, he might consider, again, very, very distant possibility, but provided McLaren does not show up in 2024, I think he might look at moving out. I saw DTS. Hate to break any spoiler alerts. I think I'll give it right now. I think it felt like Zach Brown was kind of emotionally blackmailing Lando to stay back, saying that we go way back before F1 and things like that. So it didn't really sit right with me. So I'm not really sure if Lando might stay if 2024 does not give him the right results or does not give him at least a win or consistent podiums.
As I said earlier, McLaren is Lando's stepdad. Nobody wants to let go of the stepson that easily.
Yeah.
You know, you are literally married to your wife who has already a kid, and then you can't even use that way, and you can't even let go of this way. So it's that complicated. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it is
Interesting.
interesting, bro, because we don't know what McLaren has exactly provided Lando in that contract extension. And I think Lando is a great businessman. Apart from a driver, he's a great businessman. So
The
I don't
quadrant
see
channel.
yeah, yeah. I don't see him,
If
making
quadrant,
decisions that would not profit him in any way or form. So it would be, I don't see Lando leaving McLaren, but I see Oscar leaving McLaren for Mercedes.
I don't think that's going to happen.
Bro,
Mercedes won't take that bet on Oscar.
that's like very slim
would
chances.
Oscar be a second driver? Would Oscar like to be remain a second driver to Lando is still a question because Oscar is pushing Lando for that position, right? Is Lando comfortable with it? Like there's a lot in McLaren, so you never know, right? You never know what can happen by the end of this season. What this season brings in, we don't know yet.
Fair
I
enough.
see Oscar going to Mercedes, and that's no way happening because it's not showing any of its wings so that this thing can ever fly. You know what I mean?
Talking of wings,
Yeah.
Red Bull gives you wings.
You see,
Unfortunately, which I think were broken for Perez.
yeah. Do
It's
you see
at
him
the moment is
staying?
just Max on wings.
Do you see Perez is staying in Red Bull?
I think he'll just retire, dude. Man's got a boat racing team now, and he's got good business. He's got good business backing. Might as well retire, go there, be the owner and the team principal of that team, and then manage things from there. But yeah, I think ideally there was also a lot of chatter about Perez retiring last year itself, which did not happen, which means he still wants to stay and see, if he still has that hunger for the win or championship or whatever. But ideally, I see him retiring before 2026 at least. If not this year, maybe next year. But that brings the conundrum of who's going to come in with Max. Because again, spoiler alert,
Who would
talking
like
of
to
DTS,
be in that position?
again, spoiler alert, Horner has said, if Lando sees the chance, if he is ready to make the right choice, I'd talk to him. Lando also said, no, I have a really good relationship with Max. I'd love to drive beside him. And that would be a combination for the ages. DTS will be smacking their lips so hard that they'll be waiting for content. Stay with Red Bull for the entire 27, 28, 30, 40 races, whatever that F1's planning to do, and then
Bro,
give us an entire documentary on Red Bull.
would Lando
Hmm.
leave his position as the main driver from McLaren to go to Red Bull and be a second driver to Max Verstappen? Would he do that? Do you
That
think?
is exactly
No, no,
that
no,
is
wait.
exactly why I said Netflix will spend all their races at Red Bull to see all the
I
drama
do
unfold.
not see that
Hear
happening.
me out.
He will never,
Hear me out.
Lando would never do that to himself, I think. He loves himself way too much
Hear
to
me
do
out.
that to himself.
Well, Delulu is the Solulu. Can't help.
Okay, wait, hear me out. See, in a team, there can't be two world championship. There can't be two reigning world championship. Mind that. So, if Lando ever comes to Red Bull and if he wants to win world championship, then he either needs to hold on to his dream until Max leaves Red Bull,
I don't see that
which
happening.
I don't know it. I don't see that happening either, but who knows? Future is pretty uncertain, right? And even if Max happens to leave Red Bull, and just in case to future me, I said it here first. I said it here first. I'm not ashamed of it. I said it here first that Red Max
Say it.
is about to leave Red Bull. But yeah, coming to my point, if Lando wants to win World Championship with Red Bull, I see that happening, to be honest,
But
but
not right now.
not with, yeah, not right now. Of course, not right now, but not with Max
Max
being
there.
around.
And Lando has
Well,
very clearly said that he wants to win like in the next 2 years. His main target is to get a championship. And again, bro, like coming to that, with the way all the testing and everything has been, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen in the season, but it would be a very interesting season because we might see Lando really, really, really pushing for that championship this year. He's hungry for that, and I think because of that he would never be a second driver to Max, never ever.
Now,
He's
what
very
after
but
what has
committed.
happened,
what prospects do you see for the second driver?
for Red Bull, if you're asking for Red Bull specifically,
Yeah,
the one who can smooch Max's ass.
yeah, exactly. I mean,
Yeah.
anybody who's ready to, just be there for the sake of being there. That's what I'm saying.
As
But
long as you
then
don't.
that doesn't give you constructor championships.
Let just let them
That
have
doesn't give you that
voters
doesn't
then.
give you another
Let them have voters. Let them have
someone.
voters. He anyways has nice experience of ass kissing.
Has
Not
nice
really.
experience of
I
ass
think,
showing also.
yeah,
I
not safe for
think
work,
in
guys.
that
Sorry.
scenario, Bottas would be the good bet for Red Bull because again, he would not challenge Max Alonso.
But again, who's ready to do that? That's the entire question. And they need to deliver on results because you obviously need a constructor championship
Again, somebody who's desperate enough to be there in F1 because anybody with,
and perform
yeah,
and perform.
a lot of people are saying that Carlos might go to that Red Bull seat just for one season.
I don't think so. I don't
I
think so
also don't
because
think so
he
happening.
voluntarily opted out of the junior
Hmm.
junior program, and
Yeah,
it does not even make sense. There's no
exactly.
basis there.
I think that Red Bull
I
seat is
mean,
like the most controversial topic because at this point, anybody, at such a position in their career, they don't want that seat. It is not the hot commodity, guys. It's that dreadful commodity which everybody is like, just keep me away from it. Career suicide.
Talking of hot commodities, looks like Ferrari and Mercedes literally are the hot commodities for the entire season now. For the
And
next
they
couple
are
of
the
years,
Ferrari
not
talk
even
of the
one.
drivers
town.
and
For the next
Ferrari
couple of years.
drivers and Ferrari drivers as well.
Man,
They are talk of the town right now.
The man
who would have
behind the
thunked?
man behind Vishal is talk of the town.
Smooth
Like,
operator.
But I think it's sad because in Austria, Sainz was a lap down on Hamilton, and then he let him one lap, and Sainz literally said he owes Lewis one. Turns out it was his seat. Man, that escalated very, very quickly.
but it actually makes me really angry for the way that Ferrari has treated Carlos, because Carlos was their one of the most successful driver guys. Like, come on, last season in that shit of a car, in that mess of a car, and Carlos bringing in those amazing, like those results in that car, and then is still being treated this way just because of Leclerc. And I mean, it just feels very bad for him because he's that one driver in a grid. I think, if Carlos get one good car for just a season, he just might win a championship out of desperation.
Let me
Traditions.
tell you something. Let me
Yeah,
stop you right there. Just like how you feel about Norris for McLaren, that's Leclerc to Ferrari. That's it.
exactly,
End of conversation. End of
exactly,
conversation.
exactly.
You cannot argue with the fact. That's it.
But again,
What?
would
Leclerc,
Ferrari? But again,
What?
now,
What? What? It's always a but. Sorry, what as?
but again, Leclerc is literally the star kid of Ferraris. You know,
Exactly. He is the golden kid.
he is the golden kid. Exactly. He
okay,
shines bright.
Leclerc is that a star which never shines. It's that टूटा हुआ तारा जैसे नीचे जाता जा रहा है. It's like that that's that fallen star which is like going down like this. There's no way he's going like this. Sorry
I'll
to
He
say
is
attribute
that
that.
going.
That's
I love
two
the guy,
things,
but
right? I'll kind of attribute that to two things.
yeah.
One, talking of the 2019 season, steps into the car, puts a bloody rocket ship on that car, and he gave a four-time world championship a run for his money.
Exactly.
2020,
Exactly.
2020, I agree. Ferrari treated Seb like really bad, but in spite of having such a bad car, to produce podiums on with that car, it was unreal with how Charles drove that car. And with 2021 happening, I think he still kept up to it, but the reliability and race strategies
Bush.
and Binotto, yeah. So that's more or less
Pinocchio.
where he loses out. So one problem I have with Leclerc is that he doesn't really stomp his foot and say, guys, this is what I want to do, which is what Science does really well.
Yeah.
I think
He
if
didn't listen to
if
them
it
only.
was for Ferrari, the ideal combination is Leclerc's driving technique and talent, and Sainz's assertiveness that will give you a Michael Schumacher. I'm
And I
not
think
even kidding.
that's what they have got Lewis in for. But again, in Ferrari right now, it's a very interesting pair to see because Leclerc is like golden child of Ferrari, right? But again, who will they prioritize? Because Lewis would want to be prioritized. Anyways, so are they going to wait for Lewis to groom Leclerc in a better way, to build a team for Leclerc to build bring in like future championship, win a few championship with Ferrari in that car, then retire, then Leclerc comes in, brings in the legacy. Like, I think that's the Ferrari A plan right now.
To be
I
honest,
think you're pretty spot on.
if see, to be honest, I mean that is the tale for 2025 season. We were talking about 2024 season, but let's just talk about what is going to happen. What I feel is going to happen. See, if Lewis
Well,
Hamilton goes
Sainz,
to Ferrari,
Sainz is just gonna say dashing cars, guys, dashing cars, dashing cars.
yeah,
And
he's
is
going to do it.
Science going
See,
to sit
no,
out a season? Like, that's like a big question. Is Science going to sit out a season and wait
We'll
for
get there.
that
We'll get there.
early
topic
car?
We'll get there. He'll
That's
get the sack.
probably an option. You know why? Because Esteban Ocon, then Daniel Ricciardo, both of them sat without a season, right? And also, I was talking about Lewis Hamilton going to Ferrari, right? So if Lewis Hamilton goes to Ferrari, I don't think so. Lewis Hamilton has a shot of winning his eighth world championship with Ferrari.
Yeah.
That is not there. And even if Ferrari makes a good car, I don't think so. They're gonna prioritize Lewis Hamilton winning a championship with their car because I feel they're gonna let Charles Leclerc get well, like give a shot in winning a championship because man, because see again, stepdad of Charles Leclerc, Ferrari. So Ferrari wants
After Jules
their
Bianchi,
stepson
sorry, sorry. After Jules Bianchi,
after Jules Bianchi.
very
Yeah,
bad
of
joke to
course.
make, but
Yeah, after Jules Bianchi, of course. But yeah, again, a stepfather would always see his stepson winning a championship, right?
But that would be a very controversial thing because Lewis has been very specific. I do not think so that Lewis would have signed that contract until and unless Ferrari would have reassured him that you will be our priority. So if they do not give Lewis that priority, it would be a drama, like literally controversy of for the decades. Because then Lewis has been made like Lewis will be the joker in the whole game. He will be the fool because he left his seat where he's treated as a king to come for this team in the hope of that eighth world championship. And then again, like if he's treated like a fool, bro, I just don't know. I don't think so. Ferrari would do
so
that to
I'll,
Lewis.
I'll
I
kind of
don't think so.
I'll kind
And
of
I
add to
think
what you
Ferrari should not do that to Lewis. Like,
I'll kind of add to what you said.
Hmm.
So this move makes the most sense to Lewis, not in terms of a racing aspect, but it's more from his business aspect
Hmm.
because he's got nothing to lose. So I'll tell you the details of the contract, right?
Yeah.
Goes to the CEO. Ferrari agrees that whatever problems he's got, Ferrari is ready to pump in that money. And from here, the thing is, he's got an empire to build, which Ferrari is supporting. If he wins the eighth, he's happy. If he doesn't, he's got nothing to lose. He's about to retire maybe in a couple of years, or maybe
I
three
think
years.
2026 would be his last season. Who knows? 2025 might be his last season, bro.
You don't know. You don't know. So that's the thing. So given that kind of context, because what happened at Mercedes was that he wanted to be the brand ambassador for Mercedes
Yeah.
till 2030 something, and Mercedes said, "Sorry, boss, the
No,
board's not going to
not happening.
accept for that."
Yeah.
Which means he had to look somewhere else because he's brought so much glory to Mercedes. He's brought so many he's done so many other things for Mercedes. He set up a racing academy there. He's mentoring children there. And if all of that breaks off because of a business decision, it obviously means that he's on his own.
Yeah.
And the best way to probably do that is go to Ferrari, give people a run for their money. If Mercedes is not working out, obviously turn somewhere else. Red Bull can't happen because Abu Dhabi 2021, Michael Massey, Mikey, not the right
Disaster.
thing to do.
Disaster.
So, given all of this context, Ferrari is the most sensible
Safe,
place,
safe,
and
safe.
Hamilton play it safe. I mean, if you're not getting a championship, you're at least making an empire. It's as simple as
Yeah,
that.
that is literally the second best team out there.
Yeah. And it's a legacy, bro. Like, imagine being a world, like being one of the greatest person in this sport. And then you have drove for three of the biggest team there that are in the sport. Like, and everybody dreams of retiring in a Ferrari. Everybody dreams of, driving a Ferrari once. So
He like, of course, he had two options: either to retire early or drive for Ferrari. So of course, he had to drive for Ferrari, right?
yeah.
Because that is the only sensible option. Now, speaking
Every
of Lewis
great driver
Hamilton,
has drove for Ferrari for once in their career. So I think it's a sensible move. But again, I think till Lewis is there, he would not let them prioritize Charles. I do not see that happening.
Talking of priorities, I think Sainz might have a priority to go to Sauber next year because Sauber is the team that's going to change to Audi.
Oh
And
yeah,
he's already very closely associated to Audi.
yeah,
Might as well go to Sauber, spend a year there, get to know the team because he works best with all the mechanics he knows.
yeah.
Rather than going in 2026 with new regulations and stepping in and directly jumping into a car that he does not know, might as well go there, spend time to develop the car, work on any kind of improvements that need to be done, and you are basically setting yourself up for success in 2026. This is rumored to be a very high possibility, but I'm not sure to what extent Carlos is ready to take that bet.
It seems like a sensible one as well, right? But I don't know because Carlos 2026 Audi seat is like a almost like a done deal. It's just the 2025 season which he's unclear about. So it would be interesting to see what kind of moves he make. Yeah.
Talking of
Yeah,
moves,
let's.
which Lewis Hamilton made, coming back to Mercedes, about whom we've spoken in almost every other team.
Yeah.
Now, what's next for George? What's next for Toto? What's next for Mercedes backend, where I think there have been recent reports that a lot of engineers are leaving, a lot of people
Bono,
being poached.
Bono, and everybody. I mean, the talks have been there, but I don't know. I think Mercedes will have to build themselves again because they lost Lewis, of course. But I believe in Toto to do that. I think it's good for Toto to give 2 3 years to the team again to find a driver, to build that driver, and then to come back as the Mercedes that we all know. Because again, the team has not been building good cars for the last few years, guys. Like it has been
See,
disappointment. So
I mean,
And
after
so
all,
has it
like,
been for both.
no, look, see, after all, half of Brackley boys is gone. You know, like the OG Brackley boys, starting from Braun GP,
hmm.
they, I mean, they left. So that is that is the major reason which I feel is that Mercedes is not able to participate that much. And also aiding Red Bull is Adrian Newey,
Oh yeah.
like literally the master engineer.
Hmm.
So yeah, I think that kind of summarizes, all the teams in 2024. But yeah, again, quickly just circling back to Mercedes, I think they've got a very, very huge headache to figure out a driver for 2025. So many options out there. Alonso, Ocon, Mick, Kimi Antonelli, maybe not. Albon. Now you never know who's on the sidelines or who might pop up this
Yeah,
year.
who might already be. I think
Does Gasly want does Gasly want a piece of pie? I think only time will tell.
yeah.
Does he want to drink hot chocolate and burn his mouth fast?
Or maybe Toto will
Maybe
drive a car.
maybe
You
maybe
never know.
maybe the man is tired of eating all those croissant.
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 So,
Croissant.
Croissant.
uh
anyway, I think this is it. Like just a basic intro to Formula One 2024 season in
all
bracket
drama
2025 season.
and all the drama. I think this season
Yeah.
would be a very interesting one. Not only, I mean, of course, like we all know who's winning the championship anyway, but but I
It's
think
not going to be interesting on track, but I think off track is going to be
but
one of the
off
most
that,
exciting.
all that cold wars going on, going in the paddock, I think it would be interesting to see all the shifting of relationships from one team to another. I think that would be very visible to see. I think it would be a very interesting off season. And also, guys, it's F1. Who knows? Maybe it could be an interesting season on, like, on track as well, because testing has given us some interesting results. So maybe we might have a good,
Speaking of testing,
yeah,
lot of things to discuss. I
lot
think
of
we'll do that on our next episode.
yeah.
Let's do
If
that
you
on our
want
next
to know
episode.
what we think about all that happened in the testing, all the speculations, all the controversies, everything, give us a listen when we have our next episode coming in.